Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. So I had an interesting discussion with someone the other day who was asking about the best way, the best budget kit to get into shooting weddings. And they want to do some portraits on the side. This was somebody that they have a Nikon camera, I forget what it was, a D3200 or something right now. They wanted to stay with Nikon in any case. So I thought, I've had this asked many times, what would I buy if I was going to start out today with what's available for a budget kit, for minimal cost, but covering all your bases. For Nikon side, it's pretty easy what I would do. If you look at Amazon right now, you can get a D7000 for as low as where they have them, $357 and 44 cents. So $358 rounded up for a used Nikon D7000 body. You can even get them, I thought I saw a refurb on here for around $450. So a factory refurb might be the better route to go. But let's say you can pick up a D7000 for around $350. So I would get two of those. Two D7000s for $350. That's $700. You're only $700 in. Then what I would do is I would get I guess here's the difference. You can go for your first lens. You could get, for instance, the 18-140 kit lens with the 7000, and those are $650 body and lens used. So I might buy one of the D7000s with that lens, and then another D7000 as body only, and I would add a Nikon 50mm f1.8D. The reason is that the D is pretty much as good as the f1.8G, smaller, lighter, and it works fine on a D7000 body, which can focus an older D lens. That's only $99 brand new, $79 used. I wouldn't save the money there. I'd get a brand new one at $99. So now we're up to $650 and $350. So that's what, $1,000. Add in another $100, and you've got all your lenses covered. You can shoot the entire wedding with a fast 50 and that 18-140. The other option, if you're not as big a fan as the 18-140, and it's actually, it's 3.5 on the wide end, so you can treat it for the bulk of the usable range as a 4.5 lens. I think it'll take you at least to 50 or maybe even 70 mil at 4.5. Because I used to shoot with an 18-70 Nikon back on my D70, and I think maybe even a body after that. And it was a 3.5 to 4.5, so I just treated it as a fixed f4.5 lens, and it worked very nicely. An 18-70 fixed f4.5 lens, meaning that I didn't worry about the aperture. I just left it at 4.5 unless I needed to dial it down further. I didn't worry about letting the camera go to 3.5 to change the settings when I just treated it as a constant aperture f4.5 lens, which worked great. Now, the option here is for lenses. I'm just looking for where I looked that up, but a Sigma 17-50 F28 Os. Now, many of you will have heard me say that that is one of my favorite lenses. So you can get the Sigma 17-50. Just let me see where I had that open here. I got a lot of tabs open to tell you what I would do here. 17-50 F28 EX DC OS. Big mouthful. $469 new. Very reasonable lens. That's a f2.8 constant aperture lens. The reason I don't think you need f2.8 is because if say f4.5 or f5.6 isn't enough, f2.8 often isn't quite enough to get you there, and that's why you have the 50mm f1.8, the D in this case, or the G if you went that way. But you can get this Sigma 17-50 f2.8 OS image stabilized, $469 brand new, or $278 used. They've got them for here on Amazon. Now I'm going to put all these links below so you can look and see at the various options, and if you were interested in assembling a kit. You could also find that used on Kijiji or Craigslist or wherever you look for good used deals. So that's an option too. So if you had two bodies at $350, that's $700. $100 for the 50mm f1.8D brand new, or if you can find that for a decent value used, $70, you want to save a few dollars, I'd still buy it new, because for $100 you're not saving much. And then add in for under $300, say $275 or $300, now you're into $1,400, and you've got your lenses covered and you've got your cameras covered. You got two bodies that are the same, and that's important, because you're not, especially if you're getting into things, you're not trying to figure out in your head The difference is as you pick up a different body, the two bodies work the same, the controls are the same, they function the same. So you can just think about your photography, your composition, your lighting, etc. Instead of trying to remember, oh, geez, I picked up a different body. How do I adjust this setting? And you can get a little bit mentally stumped when you're trying to follow in under the pressure of a wedding day and trying to keep things going and compose. And it's just one more thing to throw into the mix. Two twin bodies is very nice to shoot with. So that's the options there. So you're going to save, well, it was roughly the same cost, I guess, to get the body at $650 with the 18 to 140, because that's another $250. So it's very close, within $50 on your choice of the Sigma 1750 f2.8 or the Nikon 18 to 140. The advantage of the Nikon is it's longer. The disadvantage is it's not as fast. But as I said, f2.8, while I love this lens, if you're at the point where f4.5 or f5.6 isn't fast enough, f2.8 might not be either, and you'd probably want to go with the 50mm f1.8D anyways, or the 50mm f1.8G, whichever one you go with. So you can do it all there. That's bodies and lenses for around $1,400. Very reasonable setup. Gets you two bodies. As a pro, you want to have two bodies. A as a backup, and B is just you can keep, if you had that two lens setup and two bodies and a lens on each camera, you got your backup with you already. In case one goes down, you got another camera to finish the job. Very important. And probably not going to ever have a problem, so you got two functioning bodies on you to just not have to change lenses, which is nice too. Now, let's go to a camera body option here instead of the 7000. If you got a little bit more juice in the bank, a little bit more money to spend, the D7100 I would recommend going with. You can get those used for $645. So you're spending a little bit more, well, almost twice the price, but you're getting a fair bit more advancement in camera. In that camera alone, you're going to 24 megapixels versus the 16 in the D7000. D7000's fine. I shot a pair of them for quite a few weddings a few years back. But nowadays, this is the way I would go if I had the money. If I absolutely was paring it right down to the wire on budget, I'd go with the 7000s. Wouldn't bother me at all. But if I had a little bit extra money, I'd go with the 7100. It's the sweet spot. It's a fair bit cheaper than the 7200, but it's got the 24 megapixel sensor in it, and it offers pretty much everything the 7200 has. And so that's a nice upgrade there if you can afford that. About $645 used on Amazon anyways. You might be able to find them within that range, maybe even lower if you're finding one on Kijiji or Craigslist. So that's an option on bodies. I'll put the links below. You can check them out. And if you do have the extra money, I would go that route on the body. I would go the 7100. Again, I don't have any caveat with recommending the 7000. 16 megapixels is more than enough than most people need, and certainly for shooting weddings. We used to do it with 6 and 4, and before that 2.7 or whatever. So it's still perfectly fine, but if you got the extra money, then go with the used or refurbed 7100 bodies. Now, again, with the 50mm f1.8D, it's $100. If you got a little bit extra money, the 50mm f1.8G is a nicer lens. It's $145 used, so when you buy it used, not a lot more, so you might want to consider that. Again, the real budget option is the 1.8D. The f1.8G is just a little bit better on coatings and flare. I'm not really sure it's any sharper or anything. It's a very, very nice lens. It might be just a tad bit sharper, but the advantage there is the newer lens, newer coatings. It's also bigger and heavier, so again, splitting hairs, and if you're going really budget, then go with the 1.8D. What else do we have here? If you need something, let's say you wanted to take a different route, one more option on your main zoom lens. The Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter f1.8 gives you a super fast zoom. It's very unique. It's the only zoom that's that type of range at f1.8. So you got 18 to 35, and you could basically not take that lens off your camera. That's effectively 70 mil on the long, or no, not sorry, I'm thinking of micro four thirds. On an APS-C sensor, it's effectively 50-55 on the long end, and it is let's see, 18. So you're 27.5, 28 on the short end. So a decent standard zoom. You could shoot a whole wedding with that, no problem. It's f1.8, it's very fast. You can get those used for $669. $699 in there. There's $799 new, so you might be able to find it used better than that on Craigslist or on Kijiji. But that lens, if you want to spend a little bit more money, I don't recommend only having one lens, because if something happens with your lens, again, it's like bodies. You need another lens you can shoot with. Even if you just have a 50 f1.8 as your secondary lens, at least it's a backup that you could shoot the rest of the wedding with. You can shoot a whole wedding on a 50. It's people used to do it a lot, actually, and it's not a bad exercise to do. I just had a fellow the other day sent me in his D610 photos. Now, granted, that's full frame, but a 50 mil on there, and shot the whole wedding. It was very nice. Now, what you could do is you could go a 35 millimeter f1.8D if you were going, if you wanted to pair the Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter f1.8. You could get the 35 mil f1.8 from Nikon as your backup, because then it gives you more of a normal that you could very easily shoot the whole wedding with. So that's just another option. Increases things a bit, but a great lens to have is not take it off your camera. Your f1.8 all the way through, and super fast lens is great. Now, something else we have to consider is some people will say, oh, I'm a natural light photographer, I never use flash. I don't recommend that. A lot of times that's a cop-out. People don't know how to use flash properly, so they just say, oh, I'm natural light. Some people can shoot good natural light and know how to use flash. Those people are few and far between. There are some very accomplished photographers that do that, but a lot of photographers that say they're natural, quotation marks, natural light photographers can't. You should know how to use a flash, and you should be able to use it in situations that are gonna make things better. If you bounce it off a wall, foof it as we call, from behind or from the sides or whatever, you can make it look very close to natural light. Very nice lighting. Check out Neil Van Niekerk's site to show how he does a lot of that. And what I would recommend in this case is a Nikon Sb-700. So you can have a full TTL flash on camera. You can get those used for $230 on Amazon. Again, I'll put the link below. $326.95 new, so $327 new. I would get a pair of those if you can afford it. If not, get one for TTL on camera. And the option there is to go with like a Yongnuo YN560 or one of the Yongnuo flashes. That one is $64.88 brand new on Amazon. You can get like a refurbed one for about $50. If you want to really save money, get two of the Yongnuos. You can get a pair for around $100 if you get them used or refurbed, or a pair brand new for, let's see, 65 times 2, you're like, $130 brand new. Far cheaper than even one Sb-700, but it gets you two flashes, so you got a backup and you've got an extra flash, so you could be a off-camera flash. And what I would do then is just teach yourself how to shoot it in manual. It's not that hard. It seems until you play with it, but you should be learning these things if you're going to shoot a wedding professionally. The easy route is to have a 700 and then have a Yongnuo or some other type of manual that you're going to use in manual, a manual flash that you can use off camera or on camera, and just shoot it that way. And then you can rely on the TTL if you need to. So, I mean, if you're really going to rely on the TTL, get two Sb-700s, pick them up used. You can do that for under, around $450, right? The other thing you're going to need, some wireless triggers. I'll put a link below to the ones that I like. The cowboy triggers are pretty good. Yongnuo has some good triggers, and there was a new one. I'll look it up. I don't have it open right now. It might be in one of the newer cactus ones that I think are really good. And I have tons of these off-brand, very similar, I guess, to cowboy triggers around the house, because I've picked them up over the years for $20 and $24 for a set of 2 receivers and 1 transmitter. So, you can get, for $50, you can get a pair, so you got backups of everything and multiple off-camera flashes. You can really get into some sweet lighting for dirt cheap. So you probably want a pair of those for your flashes. Not necessary right off the bat, but, something you probably do want to add, and it doesn't hurt to get it right away and then learn it, and then bring it into your photography and enhance what you have to offer. Memory cards. 64 gig is what I would go with. They're like the sweet spot right now in size versus price and value. You can get the Samsung Class 10s for a 64 gig. Actually, it's on sale right now for $17.57 on Amazon. That's incredible. Regular MSRP is $59.99. And that is an SDXC, sorry. And it comes with an adapter, which you can use in the card. I'm always a little bit gun shy using adapters. I probably shouldn't be. I think with the Samsungs, it's absolutely fine. I've never had them not work. But you can get what I use in my cameras is the Transcend 64 gig SDXC and that's not a micro SD card like the Samsung. So it's just an SD card. It's a Class 10 UHS-1, which means it's quite a fast card. It says up to 90 MBS. So it's very fast. They call it a 600 times card. Great for 4K video. Works fine in my G7 right now for 4K. 64 gig, a pair of those, and you're set. Get 3 if you want another card just in case you run out. But shooting photos, you're probably not going to run out. But they're only $24.95. So if you want, get 4 of them. It's $100 worth of memory. We used to spend a couple $100 for a 256 meg card back in the day, so this is insanely cheap. So that's my memory card recommendations. Again, I'll put the link below. Batteries for your flashes, Eneloop, hands down, best batteries out there. Love them. I've got sets I've been working on now for 4 and 5 years, and they still hold a good charge. When I throw them through my chargers and I reevaluate them, they're still I can do a refresh. I can do an analyze cycle on some of my chargers, my Maha charger. I'll try and look the links up for you for the chargers below. I'll put them below too. But those batteries are still holding a decent charge for 4 and 5-year-old batteries. You can get a set here on Amazon, 4th generation, 16 packs. So that's 4 sets because you need 4 for flash. And that's enough to get you through a wedding, no problem. $43. That's incredible. That's like right around $10 and change per set. Great deal. That's what I would totally go with there. What else did we need? As another option for lenses, if you wanted something a little bit longer, an 85 F28 is really nice, especially on a crop sensor body. You can get those used Nikon version for $399, as low as around $300 if you go with the older F18D. So that's a great option, depending on how long you want. Like, you could add the 50 and this if you want, and depending on what other zoom you're going with, you may want to go with the longer one. It's up to you. It's a great addition at little price, but I'll put the link for that as well. The other thing is, as an alternate to that, if you want more reach, a lot of people think they need a 70-200. A lot of people love the 70-200 lens and shoot a large portion of their wedding with it. Sigma 70-200 F28 Os lens, fantastic lens. You can pick these up used. What do they have them here for on I'm just looking to see what the used price is. It's not showing me that on Amazon right now. They're $11.99 new. I'm surprised they're not showing any used ones here on Amazon. Oh, sorry, here they are. $8.49 used. They have 9 of them used from $8.49. You can get them even less than that. I think I've bought one before for about $7.50 used on Kijiji. So great option. It's an f2.8, fairly fast zoom. Well, one of the fastest zooms. Is you can't get usually much faster than f2.8 other than that Sigma that's f1.8. So you could pair that in too, and that gives you the long lens. It's very nice for portraits and stuff too. Like, a lot of people like to shoot at the longer end of the two, like, say the 150-200 or 135-200 for compression and whatnot. So it's a really nice lens artistically as well. It does add a significant amount. I mean, that's half of what you've spent up till now. I mean, you can keep your kit really cheap, and cheap in the sense of low cost, quality kit. 2 7,000s, $700. $100 for the 50 mil, so you're up to $800. Throw in the Sigma lens for another $300. You're up to, what is that? We up to 11. Couple of Yongnuo flashes, another $150, say. So it's $1,250. Throw in some cards and some batteries, say another $150. So you can do this all for about $1,400 and staying professional, in the sense that you've got backups, you've got lighting, you've got extra memory, you've got extra batteries, good quality batteries. Very great setup to be into for a very minimal price. Back in the day when I started, you could not do it for this price. So that's my suggestions if you want to get into a Nikon kit at a budget price, but what can be used for professional gear to shoot weddings, portraits, and, well, just about anything professionally. It's a great system. The 7000s have a very solid autofocus system on, very solid body. They have the dual command dials on them, so it's professional type body setup. It's not the single one that you have to toggle. It's just a great way to get into things for a low price. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? You want to put some options below? Would you suggest something else? I think in the Nikon range, for best budget price, is definitely the way to go. I guess the other option you might want to consider is an older full frame body, maybe like a D3. we'll do an entirely different video on this. So we'll call this the crop sensor body. And then I'll give you an option that I would do for Nikon in full frame, because I would definitely go used in there because the bodies are expensive. Whether that's a 610 or a D3, we'll talk about that in another video. Anyways, leave your comments below. Let's have a discussion. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com. Thanks.